Hi, I'm Isaac Spade.
And I'm Nico4387.
And today's podcast we're going to be talking about a very peculiar number in the media standpoint. It's
50K.
Yeah. It's what's referred to as a Goldilocks number, which is apparently considered as not too big, not too small.
The golden number.
Although, if you ask me, that does seem kind of like a ridiculous number because if you actually look into the statistics of it, they basically literally say 50,000 people die from this, 50,000 people die from that. And it's kind of ridiculous, especially with them saying, 50,000 people die from being sacrificed in satanic rituals.
50,000 people die from hydrogen cyanide in apple juice. That's a throwback to an old video.
But, to tell you the truth, that sounds kind of ridiculous considering if you look at the statistics, 50,000 is more than the yearly reported homicide rate.
Well, that's just reported. There's a few, there could be a few hundred more, but, that's beyond the point.
Well, that basically doubles the homicide rate.
Well, yeah, of course. That's not the point I was trying to make. It was just that
Yeah, I know. Reported means, there's some that aren't. But, be honest, they should come up with a more realistic number instead of being lazy and going, fuck it, just say 50,000.
How about 20,000 or 10,000? I mean, when you think about it, 10,000 people dying from anything, you should be scared. You should be running for your life from whatever the heck killed them. I mean, that's plague status. It's how many people did the Spanish flu kill? 100,000 people? I might be off on that number. Don't quote me on it. But it was quite a few people. But, I mean, 50,000 people dying from anything, especially in a year, is extreme. I mean, if somebody said 50,000 people die from lung cancer because of cigarettes, I'd be like, oh, keep even secondhand smoke the hell away from me.
Yeah. But, there's also loads of other ways the media can be, so to say it, bullshit.
Yeah.
For lack of a better layman's term.
I mean, we already did a video about how the media censors, basically pretty much everything and just puts blatant information in there and just takes it back and a lot of other stuff. So the media is definitely not perfect. I mean, when you go and consider half the things they say are complete bull honky, so But
what about that case where when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, a whole bunch of politicians were hiding in a bunker through the hurricane, and after the hurricane devastated New Orleans and left many people stranded and dead, politicians were going, oh, I'd like to thank this politician for helping out.
I'd like to thank Al Gore for creating nature. Sorry, that's an old joke as well.
But, honestly, you think that's kind of...
Yeah, it's actually quite fishy, and I don't understand exactly why this mass movement of everybody thanking each other.
Somebody actually, quite a few news icons basically said, you know what, basically they said, you know what, why are you thanking other politicians when they, like yourself, hid in a bunker and did jack shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
And she tried
Shameless self-insertion.
This politician just, said, all sorts of stuff that had nothing to do with answering the question.
Again, back to the Al Gore joke. I'd like to thank Al Gore for not being president. It makes so much sense because it's nature.
Although, since I actually did watch the news clip related to this, they actually, kind of reminds me of the presidential debate this past year.
Yeah.
Where, that Trump was just saying shit that had absolutely nothing to do
quick note, right? Did you notice how many times they scratch their nose?
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? It's a really good sign that somebody's lying when they scratch their nose because it's an increase in blood pressure. So when somebody does this or somebody does this, it's an increase in blood pressure in their nose because they're lying, and it's a subconscious cue. So they scratch their nose because it itches. So that's a telltale that somebody's lying.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny how, when you think about it, like, they said, like, how are you going to fix the country? And he said that, and Trump was saying, like, all sorts of stuff of saying, like, oh, we're going to get rid of all the minorities, blah, 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 we're going to build a wall. And then he even, like you said, like, scratch his nose.
To that I respond, you can't fix what ain't broke. I mean, it works for me, it works for you, it works for Billy down the street, so why change it? I mean, we need to get the economy up and running again, but that's a topic for a different video.
Although the bad part about it is, if you think about it, yeah, diverting from the original subject, but economically, our country has actually been so used to immigration that if you try to remove all the immigrants, legal or not, it's going to totally wreck the economy.
Yeah. But back to the whole 50,000 rule. It's actually, like, the reason that we went off on this tangent is to show that basically the 50,000 rule is basically indicative of the whole situation that's going on. They just pull something out of their butts and they say, here, eat these lies. They're good for you. So it's basically the same thing they're doing with the 50,000 rule. It's the same thing they're doing with the censorship. It's the same thing they're doing with the politicians. It's the same thing they did with attacking Trump out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's the same thing they did with attacking Bernie Sanders, all because he said he was outwardly socialist. And it's the same thing they're going to do again and again and again and again and again and again until something is done. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, which is kind of bad, considering that if we continue on this path, for lack of a more appropriate word, this shit is going to hit the fan hard.
Literally.
Yeah.
Quite literally. Yep.
And yeah, sorry about all the cursing. It's just that I have
I'm the one who curses more than you, and I'm trying to curtail my cursing as much as possible, though.
Yeah. But like, the media is meant to be blunt, not censored and blocked off and going, oh, this won't do for this audience. We must shield it from that audience.
Oh, by the way, trying to think, what amendment was it with the freedom of the press thing?
First one.
That was originally intended so that people could write truths about politicians so that they could basically say, yeah, this politician isn't any good and nobody can say anything about it because, I mean, this isn't, some big old tyrant nation. But now they're blowing it out of proportion and they're using this freedom of the press as a sort of, we can lie about anything because freedom of the press,
Although there is actually, if you actually look at it, there's a subtext in the First Amendment that basically says, okay, you can say whatever you want, but it has to have some factual proof behind it.
Yeah. That's the same thing with, isn't there a law about false advertisement?
Yeah.
Why isn't there a law about false news coverage or something like that?
Yeah, because, like, I've heard many cases where, like, friends of mine were watching the news and it says, oh, this neighborhood got shot up. And then people go to call their family in that neighborhood and go, oh my God, are you okay? It's like, why wouldn't I be?
Well, Fox News says that you got shot. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm in one piece. I don't see any holes.
Yeah, like they just make up, like they're supposed to be the news and spread information of what's going on in the real world. And yet, all they share is stories they probably quite literally thought of while they were on the shitter.
Pretty much. I would go and venture, I would bet $20 on that. I would bet $20 on that at least one producer at Fox News does that. And the reason I call out Fox News all the time, the reason I said Fox News twice, is because they are, as I've noticed, one of the major offenders to this.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it with CNN, I'm seeing it with Eyewitness, I'm seeing it with Fox News, but especially with CNN and Fox News, because those are the two that really a lot of is riding on what they say, and it's corrupted.
Yeah, they've become more of an entertainment network than an actual news network.
I'm pretty sure that's what Comedy Central's for.
Yeah. Like, honestly, they don't really care about getting important information out there. They only care about getting the information that gets them views out there.
Do you know what I've noticed? Whenever anybody does like a news show on Comedy Central, it's always true. Everything that they say is true. Yet for some reason, news networks, like real news networks, like not just, news networks like comedy, just like Stephen Colbert or something like that, real news networks lie about everything, but yet all these like comedy talk shows or whatever, I don't know how you would describe them, they at least tell the truth. Like you watch John Oliver, he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
But yet you watch like Fox News and everything is a lie.
He tells the truth and just tells a joke or two about it.
Yeah. I heard the door open. I was like, is they trying to come in this room? Yeah, go on.
But like, it's kind of a sad situation when when comedy networks, for God's sake,
Tell more truth than actual supposed to be people that are telling the truth.
Yeah.
I tell my grandmother all the time because she believes in everything the news says. Like she'll be like, "Oh my God, the news said kale's bad for you. I can't eat kale." They're like, if you eat like a pound of it in a single day, you're gonna get kidney stones. But other than that, it's perfectly good for you.
Everything
Don't feed it
has
to
a
your
limit.
chickens, but
Everything has a limit.
It's funny that actually supports homeopathy, but I don't support homeopathy. And I don't support homeopathy. And if you know what homeopathy is, which I'm about to explain. So homeopathy is basically a practice in medicine that says if something's a poison, a small amount of it is good for you. So basically, then they say if you take a small amount of ricin and you dilute it in like so many parts water, it's going to do something good. So let's go ahead and put a little ricin in water, and then they drink it, and then you realize a bunch of people drop dead.
Yeah. Although, have you ever heard of the education method of the Socratarian method?
What is that?
Basically, as the name implies, it was found by Socrates. Basically how it works is, okay, you have this fact, what's your evidence?
True. That is that's the way it should be done.
Yeah. Which the news going by the Socratarian method would actually...
Actually might have some good news for once.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? And I do have good news for pretty much anybody watching this. Stated facts back me up on this, right?
Yeah.
This is the safest time to be a human in all of human history. First off, there's no dinosaurs around trying to kill us. Second off, there's no major predators that are trying to kill us unless you live over in the jungles of somewhere like wherever tigers live. Like, there's nothing trying to kill you. There's not as much crime rate as there used to be. There's no major... Cut.
Sorry for that brief interruption.
As I was explaining before I was interrupted by my phone, we are in the safest time in human history right now. There's nothing trying to kill us, as I've already explained. There's a decreased amount of crime rate as there used to be before because people have technology nowadays, they're distracted. And there's no real wars going on, especially not with the United States. So, and all this Middle East war, it's simply a conflict as of right now. Nobody's really declared war. So there's no real wars going on, nobody's really fighting each other, and there's not really that much crime anymore. So we are literally living in the safest time in human history, like ever.
And nobody's going to commit a crime if they know that someone on the other, like, say with breaking into someone's house, with our Second Amendment, we have the right to have guns. Nobody's going to break open a door to commit any crime if they know there's possibly someone on the other end of that door waiting to bust a cap in them.
Yeah, but there's also the backing part is that we're decreasing all the availability of guns, which is supporting the safety of humans.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about the Second Amendment and whether I support it or not, because that's a point for a different video. But it's not really a part of it.
Even though the Second Amendment doesn't even have any rights for that, because technically it says the right to own armaments for militia purposes.
Actually, no, it says that we should be able to have as good a guns as the government, so if we need to take over, we can.
Yeah.
Which would mean that people would have drones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's not happening. I don't think anybody wants the public to have predator drones. We destroy each other.
Yeah. Just imagine, you could, yeah, with that kind of technology in the wrong hands.
I mean, you give a college idiot like a parrot drone and they destroy shit. Can you imagine what they would do with like a predator drone?
Which basically is almost the same thing, except for it has a motherfucking machine gun turret on it.
Well, actually, no. The predator drone is like, you remember back in the old days when they would like you've heard of the term. I'm trying to think what the term is. It's the Call of Duty when you get the map, the whole map.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but there's a term for it, and it basically is unmanned vehicle, unmanned something vehicle, UAV.
Yeah.
So it's unmanned aerial vehicle. That was it. So when you see like when they mean unmanned aerial vehicle, most of the time they're referring to the Predator drone, which is pretty badass. I mean, the thing is pretty much a remote bombing drone,
Yeah.
which I don't really condone bombing of anything, but you know.
Yeah. But frankly, the way that the media has conditioned us, well, not specifically us, but people in general, it's, I have the right to have guns, so I can just shoot or blow up whatever the heck I want.
Yeah, and that is not the way to do things for many reasons.
One of which being that you can't just shoot somebody who disagrees with you.
An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
Shit.
So yeah. Any last words?
Just one side note that the way America is today, the reason why we actually believe everything in the media is because at first, like Nico here said, we have the whole world like connected to the media, but that's a problem. That at first it was meant to be, the media was invented to actually spread the truth, but for centuries we've been, well, not centuries, but
Decades at the very least.
decades, we've been using it to spread lies and stuff that doesn't even mean anything, which I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah. And basically my in conclusion statement here is, as we started talking about this whole rule of 50,000, so I see the whole point of this whole thing being about the rule of 50,000 being one big analogy for exactly how much the news can lie to pretty much everyone. And it's mass lies. It's not even like, if it was just a lie and like a couple of people with color TV or not a couple of people with black and white TV could get it, only a couple of people get the lies, but everybody's got the lies and everybody believes it, and that's where we get all these problems.
And as always, this has been Isaac Spade.
And I'm Nico 4387.
Cards are dealt. Peace.